Dr. Rings, I really need to talk to you.
Emily. Yeah. I just got your message. I'm with my wife.
I went to your office, but you weren't there. So I came here and, could we just go talk?
Side Effects is the new thriller from director Steven Soderbergh, starring Rooney Mara as a depressed woman in her late 20s and Channing Tatum as her husband recently released from prison. Rooney Mara bounces from prescription pill to prescription pill, all prescribed to her from her new psychiatrist, Jude Law. The thriller takes some odd, unexpected turns along the way and leaves all of its characters much worse off than it started. It's the new thriller from Steven Soderbergh. What do you guys think of Side Effects?
So I really felt polarized on this movie. On the one hand, you get great performances out of people like Rooney Mara and Jude Law, but on the other hand, I feel like it has a lot of pacing issues. Like, it kind of follows a formula of introducing something really interesting and new, and then kind of lulls at that, and you don't really get bored. And then something else interesting and new, and then it lulls out for a bit, and then something, and like that's kind of the formula. It kind of like leaves these spans where you're not like sinking in with the decision. You're just kind of like waiting for the next interesting thing to happen, and then at the end, it kind of wraps up really quickly, and you're thinking they could have spent more time with those other parts. So I just felt like in editing or in post or just the pacing was off in general.
Well, I feel like that's almost kind of the unmarketed appeal of that movie. Going in, you think it's something completely different, but I mean, that's basically how they want you to, that's what they want you to think, because you come in and you uncover this giant conspiracy, just like the characters, mainly Jude Law, goes through in the movie. So I was surprised that it took that turn, but also the whole introducing something and going away was kind of almost how that was working for me.
I guess, but it was kind of frustrating, less in the sense that it was like a mystery. With a conspiracy, you usually want a mystery, like, oh, what's going to happen next? I can't wait to discover the next thing. But it was just sort of like, all right, I kind of want this thing to be over so they can discover it. I don't know, that's just kind of how I felt.
And what I think you're sort of responding to is the kind of shifts in tone it had.
Yeah.
You know, there's parts of this film where you think it's a really in-depth analysis of the state of psychopharmaceutical drugs in America or cosmetic prescriptions, you know, people just taking pills to better themselves. And then it gets into, you know, touches on insider trading, it touches on sexuality, and it really bounces from theme to theme.
It's like it questions a lot of the dynamics in a relationship, and then it kind of jumps to like a kind of, you know, preachy theme, like what are drugs for depression? Like, should they really help? Antidepressants, you know, and it just kind of, I feel like it loses the audience at key points in the film.
I feel like the thing that you're struggling with the most is that the mystery aspect, the information is being fed directly to you. You don't have time to like keep up pace with Jude Law, for example. I thought we were watching Sherlock Holmes again. He was totally in Watson mode. But the thing was, we weren't discovering it with him. He was basically telling us, oh, it's this. Oh, it's this. So, I mean, it's good that we got the information, but it kind of took you out of it.
We are being force-fed the twists and turns. And some of the twists are actually good. Like, this movie took me places I really didn't expect it to. You know, it's nothing like its trailer, and I'd say that's kind of a good thing. But at the same time, it doesn't pace its twists very well. Right. And you spend a lot of time waiting for the twist or expecting this twist to be the last twist. And it seems like, especially, I think, after the second act, it feels like just, oh, there's another scene, oh, there's another scene. Like, they just tack on bits and bits to the story when they could have probably tried to wrap it up much earlier.
Which almost makes it a little bit more realistic, because in real life, you don't get these earth-shattering twists. They're kind of delivered to you. But, I mean, in a movie, it kind of cheapens it when you just say, I just found out, blah.
Yeah.
But I feel like for this movie, there's only so much you can do with the whole, it's changing what I think. But when you go in expecting a movie about depression, and then it gets turned into Fatal Attraction, and then it gets turned into Wild Things, and then it gets turned into Sherlock Holmes, you know, you kind of get lost.
You know, though, you mentioned that, and I think it could have been much worse and made a lot less sense with less capable people. Soderbergh is definitely directing these actors very, very well. You know, he's had a strong history of getting great performances out of his actors, and he's got Jude Law, who is maybe the best performance I've seen him in the last couple of years. Rooney Mara, who's really, really great, although she is sort of doing characters that remind me a little bit too much of her role in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, even if she's all made up in this one. Even Channing Tatum is good. Catherine Zeta-Jones, I didn't realize was in this movie, and she was pretty good.
I was surprised, actually. Channing Tatum, okay, you take it what you get. But Soderbergh really brought out an actual character out of him. I was very happy with it. And as for Rooney Mara, her, like, basically 5 minutes in The Social Network got me on her, like, ship right away. I really love her as an actress. But I'm worrying that she is going to keep doing these mentally unhinged...
I don't know. I think she's got the crazy eyes down. She can really use that.
And she's also unassuming. You don't really
which is the perfect
expect
quality.
such craziness from
So
her.
I think she can honestly play both roles, and she gets typecast in more insanity films. I honestly would not mind.
Honestly, I think she seems to appeal to indie-esque movies.
Right.
Like this, I think that not issue, but pacing-wise, I felt like the conflict with this movie was it was a big release movie, but it was also at moments trying to be an indie film.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it felt off and awkward at like random moments.
Especially because you can't do an indie film with such a big concept.
Exactly.
You can't. There's a reason most indies are just like quirky people falling in love.
Yeah.
So when you do a big pharmaceutical kind of takedown, you're gonna run into some problems with time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, for me, I mean, as much as I enjoyed bits of this movie and some of the places that it took me that I didn't really expect, and I enjoyed the performances from a really talented cast too. It's that mishmash of ideas. It's that not really. It's the movie's inability to focus on a central theme. You know that it's called side effects, and the medication is such a big part of the beginning, and then it doesn't really matter much in the second act, aside from having set up the plot. It's sort of. The movie wanders around instead of going from point A to point B, and I'm not looking for something that's necessarily gonna be super linear and spell everything out for me, but I am looking for something that makes a little more sense than this. And I think that's sort of what hit most of us about this. But on the infamous Pretentious Film Majors 5-star scale, Vegas, what would you give Side Effects?
I was going to give it a 3, but after talking about it, I think I have to give it a 2.5, because I'd give it a 2 based on the film, but I have to bump it up to 0.5 just because of the amazing performances by the characters, which really were the only thing that kept me engaged throughout the film. It certainly wasn't the pacing or the tone or the message at the end.
There was a message.
On the same note as you, I got to do the opposite, actually. I came in thinking I was going to give it a 3. I'm going to give it a 3.5 because looking back, this movie had definitely a lot of flaws. It had pacing issues. It got caught up in its own little twists and became a totally different movie by the end. But there was a lot of very good parts of it. And also, Jude Law is probably blossoming into a not pretty boy actor, but a very good leading man. And I'm going to give it a 3.5.
I'm going to agree with you, actually, since you already knew I was going to give it 3.5, so you cheated. But yeah, I'm going to give it 3.5. I liked all the performances. Although there was consistency with the story. It went in odd directions you weren't expecting, and it kind of shakes you up a little bit, but I actually really enjoyed that. It was so interesting, not what I expected. And it's just a good, different movie to check out.
Yeah, it only made me a little uneasy. It only didn't meet my expectations. It only undercut my expectations in small bits. For the most part, it gave me more than I was expecting from it. And I have trouble giving a movie less than a 3 if it delivers more than I expect. But at the same time, I wasn't sitting there super engaged, and I was pretty much ready for the movie to end about half an hour before it even did. So I don't know if I can go above a 3. I was considering that 3.5 like you guys. I'm not going to go as low as Vegas, but I give Side Effects a 3 out of 5. So for more Pretentious Film Majors movie reviews, be sure to stay here on the Pretentious Film Majors YouTube channel.
Are you awake?
Destroy that before it destroys you.